And there we go. We are live. Good morning, everybody. My name is Heather DeSanto, and I'm back for another Friday What's Your Dish conversation, where I invite friends that I have in my world or have yet to meet to join me to talk about their dish, which is their who, what, why, where, and how of how they show up in their life and their business, or what I like to call your business of life. And so today I am joined by Tina Collura. I'm super excited about this because Tina and I had a conversation, I think it's about a month ago now, like how time flies, where she interviewed me about networking and connection. And it was a beautiful conversation, which I will share again after this, just to help us out from a algorithm perspective. But as I do with everything that I do, I like to return the favor. And I'm super thrilled to have Tina join me today to talk about her business and what she loves to do and how she loves to help people. And I don't introduce my guests. I allow them to introduce themselves because it gives them the opportunity to talk from their own point of view, and what they do is best come from them versus me just reading their bio. So with that, I will invite you, Tina, to tell everybody what's your dish all about.
Oh my gosh, Heather, thank you so much for having me, for doing this. I love collaborating with wonderful people like yourself. So yes, my name is Tina Collura, and I am the founder and CEO of the See Yourself and Your Business Grow coaching and consulting firm. So I have been coaching for over 15 years. I do motivational speaking for kids, adults, and corporate on the power of positive thinking, goal setting, and future visioning. I'm an award-winning productivity coach. So I help people literally get out of their own way and into results. I say in less than 90 days, because that's the results that my clients have seen without even realizing it. And those are the best moments. I'm like, you already made back all the money that you paid me in like 90 days. So they're like, oh yeah, when you put it that way, I'm like, yeah, you did. Um, so I started out with personal development, just loving law of attraction, law of deliberate creation, how to make those laws work for me. And then I found a coaching program that helped me build the coaching business. But through that transformation, I literally saw myself grow. And that's why I named my company See Yourself Grow. And then over the years, I started attracting a lot of coaches and consultants and small business owners. So then that's when I developed the 8-week See Your Business Grow program, because everyone's like, we love what you're doing. We love how you're showing up. We love how, the results that you're getting. So now I teach others how to do the same.
That's pretty cool. Now, you were in corporate for over 24 years. So what made you make that transition? Was there some big, huge moment in your life that had you do that? And in addition to that, once you had moved into entrepreneurship, you were saying, like, was it easy? Like, did you immediately jump into the path that got you to see yourself grow, or were there ups and downs? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually started my business while I was in corporate. I was a people leader at the time, and I realized how much I loved coaching, and I loved helping people achieve their goals. And I loved breaking down barriers for these people so that they could see the results they know that they deserve. So when I went on my personal development journey, the company that I was working with gave me the opportunity to speak to their staff and run group coachings. And so I worked very closely, while working in corporate and developing my business all at the same time. But there was one pivotal moment, Heather. There's always one that really turned things around for me. It was, I think, January 2019, where I had gone back to work. I was from my maternity leave. It was about 6 months. I was operating on autopilot. I had a bit of postpartum, not even realizing it. And I was commuting 4 hours a day to work, dropping my kids off 6:30 in the morning, still in their pajamas, getting home 7:30 at night. The last thing I wanted to do was homework with them or make lunches, have a decent conversation with my husband. Everything was just so foggy. And the whole Charlie Brown wah wah wah, that's what everyone sounded like to me at the time. And so my leader at the time, he just asked me a simple question, a question that we would always ask anyone: how are you doing today? And I just broke down crying in the office, and I just said, I'm like, this is not the life I am meant to be living. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not right. Like, it was just so much. I had, like, that come to Jesus moment where it's like, no, I'm like, no, I'm not all right. And I finally had the courage to say it to someone. I was feeling it for so many months, but finally I vocalized it. And then I went home. I did this exercise called the perfect day. And I just started writing out, what do I want my perfect day to look like? And it was waking up, spending more time with my babies, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my husband, doing what I love, being able to have the flexibility and the financial freedom to work with whoever I choose, whenever I choose, and from wherever I choose. And lo and behold, when the pandemic hit, I was like, yes. I'm like, because that is minus the pandemic. And my husband actually said, he's like, you did this, you and your law of attraction. I said, minus the pandemic. I'm like, yes. I'm like, I will. That's exactly what I wanted. It gave me the opportunity, Heather, to be at home, doing what I love, focusing on, being there for my children, being there for my husband, all while building the business. And then the transition was smooth, because I was doing it while working in corporate, and being able to do both and balance it all. Was it a struggle? For sure. But was I loving it? Did I enjoy it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really inspiring. And I think anybody listening that's in corporate perhaps right now, or doesn't necessarily need to be in corporate, but I think it's inspiring because I think a lot of, having been in corporate myself, when I got to that time where I felt the same thing, like after 18 years for myself, I had found myself in a position that I didn't love. I felt kind of like a fraud in it. And I was like, and I didn't have 4 hours of my day. Actually, if I'm thinking back, actually, 2 there, 2 back. Yeah, it was 4 hours out of my day. And so similarly, ironically for me, I ended up in a job after I left corporate that got me even busier. But the same idea was to get home. For me, it was getting back into events, but then the events took me all across Canada. So I was like, kind of defeated the purpose of being back home. But excellent experience and whatnot. So anyways, what I'm getting to is a lot of us, I would say, and I'm generalizing here, would say that they have this moment where they're like not happy anymore. I think some of us getting into our later ages, well, for myself, later ages, or people that have just had kids, have this disconnect with a job and want to be closer to home. And so where I'm going with this is, you help people with see yourself grow. Is this something that you would help somebody do that transition with? Because like visioning and things like that, I think, well, for myself, I had to vision what that looked like, not having that steady stream of income and all of the comfort that comes with a corporate position. And I say comfort because it's not the way it used to be, but you know what I mean.
I do. And yes, Heather, most of the clients that I started working with in the beginning were clients just like myself, right? Because they saw something in me. They're like, oh, if she could do it, then I could do it. And so those are the people I was attracting when I first started out, because it was like, you know what? I know what she's thinking. I know what she's feeling. And most of my videos, I had people call me. I was doing daily videos during the pandemic. And so a lot of it was like, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to that corporate woman who is struggling, or, trying to figure out where they fit in society. Because yeah, the way we started in that position 10, 15, 20 years ago is not who we are today. And things change. Like after we have kids, things change. After a certain age, things change. Like there's just so many different evolutional moments that we can't ignore. And if you do ignore them, you're going to be unhappy, right? So I always say to people, if you're waking up and you're not jumping out of bed saying, yay, I'm so happy to get up and go, there's a problem, right? If you're not happy, that's usually a sign for me when I, wasn't at my best. And that's when you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I being true to who I am? Right? Or am I, being an imposter? Am I walking around making everyone believe everything's okay and I'm doing the best that I can? And, or are you really just lying to yourself? Right.
So then in the programs that you do and you help people with, is there a mindset component to it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
More, because I think, again, if I think back to where it's almost 8 years ago since I did that transition, almost actually longer, but anyways, like, I think there's definitely fear, like, because we don't know what it looks like on the other side, but also a lot, like, probably a lot of limiting beliefs, right? And so take me through that a little bit of how you, like, is there a particular method you do, or is it talking through, like, how is that component dealt with?
Yeah. So first off, what I tend to do, anything I do on the personal side, I've now switched it over to the business side as well. So all of my tools are transformational. And I usually start with, and I'm the architect of what I call the growth model, right? Mm-hmm. So the G, it's an acronym. So it's the G stands for goals, right? Identifying what it is that you want to achieve. The R is all about the roadmap. What steps do you need to take? The O is we look at different options and opportunities that are out there. And then the W is we weave in the team, right? We weave in, and I'm not saying you have to hire a team. You surround yourself with the people who are going to get you to where you need to be. The T is all about tasks, timelines, and targets. And then the H is holding you accountable on that journey. And I always start with the circle of, identifying where you are now, where you want to be, and what can you be doing differently. Now, there are a lot of, strong mindsets that we need to embody and enable on a day-to-day basis. And I say day-to-day basis because if you're not in the habit of strengthening your mind, Heather, the minute that, someone nudges you the wrong way, you're going to fall back into your default mode, I call it, right? Yeah. So I help people, I give them, I have like over 35 processes that I use with people depending on where they are on their mental journey and strengthening their mindset. And some of them are practicing self-discovery. I think, in the world that we're in, we need to advocate for ourselves. We need to, do that deep dive, spend time with ourselves, talking to ourselves, journaling by ourselves. Like I have been journaling, yoga, meditation, stretching in the morning for 15 years. Like those are my staples, right? And then my gratitude journal at night. But there's certain things that I will not steer away from, and my vision boards. And I started building success boards as well. So that's another thing that I teach people how to do. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that we could dive into.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard of a success board, but I think that, tell me a little bit about that. And then my next question on that would be like, do you do like specific workshops on that? Like, I'm curious, like, because there's vision board workshops. So I like it to that. And like, how often do you do them, with it being at the end of the year? Like, I'm presuming some are maybe happening in new year. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I usually do vision board and success board sessions in December, in January, and then I'll also do one in February in case people miss. Because they start the New Year's resolution in January, they fall off the wagon, and then I'm there to pick them up in February. I'm like, it's okay. Nothing's wrong. We still got, 10 more months to go. we're
It's
good.
realistic.
But
That's realistic.
yeah. And you know, we have to be human. We're human after all, right? But yeah, so the success board that started, I think it was 2021, and it was when I was starting to build out my vision board for the next year, and I started like looking back, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm like, let me look back on the year and see what I worked on, what went well, so that I know what to focus on for the coming year. And so what I started doing, because it was all on social media, is I started just taking clips of everything that I did, and then I created a success board. And that like visually laid it out for me, and I have it here like posted, because throughout the year, Heather, anytime I'm feeling down on myself or things aren't going the way, I just look up at the success board, and it's a constant reminder of, hey, you know, don't be so hard on yourself. Look what you did, right? Look what you're capable of. So put on your big girl pants and let's keep moving. And then it helps you to refocus anytime you're feeling down as well. And then one more thing, the more you celebrate your successes, the more successes will come to you as well, right?
Yeah, fair enough. So sorry, share with me, because I had a visual in my head actually about maybe it a little bit different, but I'm going to ask because maybe what you said is, and I just misinterpreted it. So I almost see, so you have your vision board, which is what you want, like what you're visioning and what you're working towards. And then like, do you already build the success, like what you visioned? Because I feel like it could be as inspiring to have a blank board and at like almost moving one to the other, so you're seeing the success. Like I don't know.
No, exactly. Yeah. So it started out where I was just pulling it all together, right? And then from there, I'm like, okay, what did I love? What did I enjoy about that year? And what do I want more of? Like, do I want more of the same, or do I want more different? And then that helped me build the vision board for the coming year. And then to your point, I always have a blank slate, and I do a month and review, and I'm like, okay, how was January? How was February? How was March? And so, yeah, I start moving things over. It's like, check,
that's awesome.
Check. Yeah.
I do something similar with another group of that I'm involved in that reflection. Like, I think that is really, really key to seeing yourself grow and moving yourself forward, because we get so caught up in what we're doing day to day, and like depending, well, in anybody's life, you I think forget the successes, big and small. And so that reflection time, I think, it's been something that I've implemented that has really, really been a game changer for me. That alone, to pat yourself on the back at the end of the month, and then that translates to encouragement to keep yourself going, right? Because there's always something, like you might have a really crappy month, but there's always something that you find that's like, that's the hidden gem in the month. So I love that. I really love it.
And now I transition that into weekly now as well. Right. So I started, annually, then I started monthly, and now I do it weekly as well when I'm doing my planning. And a lot of people think, I don't have time to plan. I don't have time to, but it's in those moments when you're quiet with yourself that you have those aha moments. And that you can be more productive and more strategic when you give yourself time to plan.
I thank you for bringing this back, because I had a question before, and I think this is, and you're leading me into it. So thank you. Yeah, are those people that may be watching and going like, I don't have time for the meditation. I don't have time for the yoga. I don't have time for reflection. I don't. Like, what is your advice for somebody like that? Because you've been doing it for a long time. So obviously it's worked for you, and so you keep doing it. So it may simply be that answer. But again, I think it's a mindset thing, is how do I make time for myself? Because I think it's no different than, like, I spoke to somebody last week about traveling, and like the gift of travel for yourself to go and explore an adventure. And again, generally women do not feel they deserve this time to do these things for themselves, but ultimately it ends up helping everybody around them when they do. So if from a coaching perspective, what would you say to somebody that's like, they start off working with you and they're like, legit, I don't have time for this. How would you shift their perspective for them?
So the first thing I say is, where are you wasting your time? Like, right? Come on. Like, if I'm raising two small children, Heather, running a business, clients, president of the parent council, community member, like, people look at me and they're like, how do you do it? And I'm like, how are you not doing it? So I'm very strategic with my time. And you know Maslow's hierarchy, right?
Yep.
So I put me first. Nice. So I have it on my fridge, and I share it with my children, and I share it with my husband. And so every morning they're like, Mama, did you take care of you first? And I said, yes, I did. Right. So it's also making sure that everyone around me knows what's going on. So I'll wake up first. So 15 minutes, I set my alarm 15 minutes earlier in the morning than I would normally. Right. So let's say I'm getting up at 6, I'll set my alarm for 5:45. So, if I'm being lazy in the morning, I know that 6 is my for sure get up time, right? I'm making a promise to myself, 6 a.m. is my go time. And so first thing in the morning, after I brush my teeth, go to the washroom, I lay out my yoga mat. It's right beside the washroom door. And I do my stretching, right? Yeah. And if you're a runner, put your running shoes right outside your bathroom door. Put the running shoes right on, right? Even if that is the smallest action that you take, right? Even if you just put on the running shoes, or just sit on the yoga mat, or just 30 seconds of deep breathing, right? Small steps turn into huge actions. So when people who say they don't have time, that's what I start them with. There was actually a client of mine. She's like, oh, aches and pains. I'm like, you're literally 10 years younger than me. She's like, I wish I could be like you when I grow up. And I'm like, you can. I'm like, start now. So I said, start with stretching. So I literally put an alarm for her on my phone at 6:30 in the morning and at 9:30 at night. And all I'm doing, Heather, I'm texting her. I'm like, did you do it? Did you do it? She's like, oh my God. She's like, thank you for being there. Thank you for the reminder. Because that's sometimes what we need, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that yoga mat. I've heard that before, but so stretching is something that I think I would benefit in the morning, because I'm pretty good. Like, my litmus test for my own health is if I can crouch, like get down into crouching. I saw a video or a meme this week about like this whole routine that, like, from getting in a seated position up to a crouching up to standing up. And they were saying, like, if you can't do this as an adult, like, some things need to be worked on, kind of thing. And I was pretty proud, because I was like, oh, like, there's a challenge. I'm going to try it. And I did it.
Nice.
That said, I want to be able to do that 10 years from now still. So the stretching and the things like that are very important. And that's for me, but there's always, I think, to your point, some small thing. Like, it's funny, because that's what when I came back from Peru, my tattoo is, I can do hard things one step at a time. And this hard thing for me right now is getting into a routine in the morning. So you're almost like, I selfishly asked you all these questions because it's kind of like where I'm living right now, in anticipation of really creating structure for 2025 based on things that are going on and transitioning and whatnot. So which leads me in, so you're hosting a free masterclass coming up. Yes. I'd love for you to share that, because maybe, or maybe not, you will tell me, is the things that we've talked about leading into this, like, is that stuff that you cover? Because I know that you had shared with me, it's about the importance of goal setting and future visioning. So we've talked about those things a little bit, but can you share about the masterclass and what people should expect to receive when they invest their time and energy with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the master class is called From Unfocused to Fearless. So stop thinking and start doing. And a lot of it is going to be on gaining clarity on your vision, right? Breaking through all the noise and identifying what truly matters to you, setting meaningful purpose and intention. We'll talk about how to set strategic, actionable goals. So I'll actually share all my worksheets, all my techniques on how to bring your idea from a big idea and how to break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks so that you could start seeing success. We'll talk about overcoming procrastination and fear, right? Because let's be honest, we all procrastinate one time or another. Some of us may do it daily. And 9 out of 10 times, there's something that's holding us back from getting started. And then we'll work on creating the roadmap to what success looks like for you. And then we'll harness all the powerful mindset techniques that I can share to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. So that's happening. Yeah, December 12th is going to be the first one. And we'll talk about vision boards. We'll talk about success boards. And I'll share with you, the easiest method on how to get stuff done that I teach to kids, Heather, too. So yeah. So
That's pretty unique, I think, in the sense of teaching it to kids, because so I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I don't know that I've done the best job of giving them those skills. So then with this free masterclass, like, do you do them, like, do you go into the schools and do those, but do you do these, like, could you do a parent child one so that we reinforce what they learn, right? Because I think that's key, right? The kids learn stuff, but then if they're not held accountable or helped,
yes.
they're like adults where they're just like a squirrel and they go off and they do their own thing, right?
Yeah. And actually, in most of the schools in Ontario, we have something called the Pro Grant. And so there is a program where the schools will bring me in as a speaker. So I will talk to all the kids during the day, and then we'll do a session in the evening for the parents. And it's usually after dinner for an hour. We could do it over Zoom or we could do it in person. So if there's any parents out there, tell your parent council about me, and reach out. I'd love to talk further about this with you and your parent council.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Well, I don't, this is embarrassing. I'm like, are there still parent councils in high school?
Yes, there are, Heather. There are. I didn't know this. I didn't know this till recently, but yeah, there are.
Oh, there are. Interesting.
There are.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm already like in my mind going like, let's bypass the school and let's just do something at my space and get, that
Yes.
like, again, because not all schools, I know, because there's certain things I would love to get into the school system. Like they're choosy. You have to find the right person to get in there. And so I say kudos to you for already being
Yeah.
in schools and whatnot. But I just love to plant that seed because again, I think it's something that as the like there's always going to be kids in school, right? Like, so I think this is a skill that generationally could maybe be improved. I think I'm going to just speak through my own lens of my generation as a parent, where we're a lot caught up in our jobs and our kids are there and we support, but very, very busy and doing all the things. And I think some of these things may get lost to benefit our kids. And so I think if you're not already in schools that maybe some people have watched, so then I'll say, get in touch with me. I can get you in touch with Tina to get it into your parent council, but also just planting the seed to say, well, maybe we can do an and simulate what you do for schools to either re-educate if they've seen it already or find a new group of people that may need that service. So it's December 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Do they find, like, if somebody were to find out more or get registered, do they go through your website? How would the best way to be to find that?
Yeah, it'll be posted on my website. It'll be on all my social media platforms. So there'll be a Facebook event, there'll be a LinkedIn event, and always through my website, seeyourselfgrow.com.
Awesome. Well, I'll have you, well, you've already done it, but I'll have you reshare it when we get to the end. So we're going to into my fun part of this is where I bring up my tools that I use in my business called points of view, hence the dots over here, hence the dots behind me. But these tools I use, they're coaching tools. So they're used by practitioners across the world to help people see things from a different perspective. We're very, us and the way that we move in life, we see it from our perspective based on our past and what's presented to us. And I think what's beautiful about these tools and why I love to use them is they create conversation with people and allow you to see things from a different perspective. The best way that I love to describe this is Tina and I could talk about the same topic and could have completely different perspectives. And it's not that the way I look at the lens, and I think that if my hope is that our world will get to a place where I can appreciate what Tina has to say, and I may not agree with her, but take that in and what can I learn and how can I shift a perspective based on her point of view. So that is the use of these tools. And as I said, they're coaching tools. I use them more from a conversational and perspective, but they're dynamite. And so in this time, what I ask of my guests is for them to choose a word or a question, and I will pick the grouping of those cards and I'll shuffle them up and kind of like tarot, like we'll see what pops out and we'll get your perspective on it.
Okay, so just any word?
No, you tell me. Do you want a word or do you want a question?
Let's do a question.
Okay, awesome. This is the most fun because I go back and forth between, oh, it just popped out at me. Oh, this is fun because it's not really business related. Well, it could be. But see, this is what it is, because again, this DiSH thing is all about, for me, I love to share what people do, but I more care about who they are as people and what they do and why they do what they do and all the things. So with that, Tina, what makes you laugh?
Oh gosh. Oh, funny cat videos.
Really?
Yeah. I love, so again, I don't know, like as I'm scrolling through like Instagram or yeah, my daughters, the minute they see a funny cat video, like mama, stop, let's watch. And I can't help, like, you know, the smacking of the paw, I don't know, it's so the things that they do, it's like what were you thinking? Like, yeah, did you really think that you could get there? Like, yeah. So
yeah. So you're more of a cat person than a dog person then, or do you like both? Or
no, I'm a dog person. I'm like, I had 3 French bulldogs. Now I'm down to 2. But yeah, definitely always a dog person.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Now that we've talked about it, because my phone is close by, I will be getting cat videos forever. Because it happens. You've noticed that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Legit, yeah. I forget what it was the other day. I'm like, now in my feed constant. And I'm like, seriously.
Oh yeah, they're listening. They're listening,
yeah.
Heather. Yeah.
Totally. Well, thank you. I love that. Yeah, what makes me laugh? And that just
what makes you laugh? What makes you laugh? Yeah.
So much. So honestly, what my most favorite times of the year, and this may seem, and I think a lot of people will resonate with this. I have 2 really good friends that I went to school with. We're on our 29th year of friendship. I think we're at 28 or 29. When the 3 of us get together, like, I cannot not laugh. The 3 of us, and my 2 friends are way more, they're funnier than what I perceive myself to be. And that's what makes me laugh, is the 2 of them will, and we'll get into these things and I'll get to it. Like, so for example, the last time, and you can find this on my Instagram because literally, and I'm not the only one that does this, but I'm not on Snapchat, right? So all the filters that make you laugh, like we were, yes, having having some drinks and whatnot. Anyway, pulled those out, like peeing my pants laughing. So that is like friends that can make me laugh, like dynamite. And
Love
husband
it.
makes me laugh, my kids make me laugh. And it's so important. Like I think there's about it, but like laughter, well, the saying, laughter is the best medicine. Like it
Yes.
really, truly is.
Yes.
Like,
I love it.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah. So
Okay.
that's it. Yeah, that's what makes me laugh. So, and the next question that I have is again, saying my business is called DiSH Events, and I ask you what your dish is all about. What is your favorite dish? It could be something you make, a restaurant that you go to, that's your favorite dish.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna have to say my mom's lasagna.
Yes.
Yeah, just she makes it with so much love, and I can't even explain it. Like it's just so buttery soft and full of flavors, and it's just that comfort food that I always look forward to. Yeah.
So this is interesting because you're the second person I think that I've interviewed that has said their mom's lasagna. And so I love that because then I'll ask my question. So my mother-in-law also makes a really fantastic lasagna. She puts egg in her lasagna. Do you have
Yep.
egg in your lasagna?
My
Yeah.
mom sometimes she does, and but yeah, there's times where she doesn't. Either which way, I love it no matter what.
It's
Yeah.
so interesting. I had never had it. My mom also doesn't make it anymore because we don't have the need for it. But my mom never did. So when I met my in-laws and started, like it kind of blew my mind at the time. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect here. But at the same time, it's so delicious and I love
Yes.
it. And
Yes.
and I always love it. And I wonder if it's an Italian thing. I don't know. But
I don't know. It
yeah, I
might
don't know.
be. I don't know.
Yeah. Does your mom like do you do sauce? Like is the
Oh yeah.
lasagna your homemade sauce as well?
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah. And so she started actually taking the tomatoes from my garden. So I planted a garden during COVID. So all I have to do
Yeah.
is give her the tomatoes, Heather. She makes my sauce and she makes it to the point where all I have to do is pour it in the pan. And just heat it up. Yeah. So yeah, it's so she makes it so easy for me and I love her for it.
Yeah. You're gonna have to let do you get part of the tomato making process?
No, actually,
No?
she gets
Ah,
up. She gets so I think this is where I get it from. We're early bird family. She'll get
yeah.
up at like 3, 4 in the morning to start. So
Wow.
I never, I always missed her. I was coming home from clubs when she was starting the tomatoes.
That's amazing. Although something I'll just plant that seed that your family might want to get on a. And I say this because my grandmother passed away too early, and she had a bun recipe that
Oh,
like every time we would go to visit, there would be buns, and they were just
yeah.
dynamite. And like I don't have it to replicate it. I don't even know that I ever could, but it's one of those things that I think I am mindful of those recipes that are like they come along with you. They need to go along with you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just yeah,
I
because
yes, I appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's
It's
yeah.
important.
I love food.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky to be in a foodie family and all the things. So, so thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. My mouth is watering. I'm thinking of lasagna, and yeah, and I don't make lasagna, so it's not going to happen in my. Sorry, kids. But so Tina, I'm gonna invite you in a few minutes to share again your website and whatnot. But I'd love to just ask you one more question, getting back
Yeah.
to what you do. And so, what is your biggest tidbit for somebody that is on the precipice of wanting to grow, but just not quite ready to step into that?
So great question. There, if I could think of one example, there was a gentleman actually who found me on LinkedIn, and he knew that he was drowning in work, and he knew that he was growing at a rate that he couldn't handle. So when he reached out to, he actually joined one of my procrastination webinars. And at the end, I always invite people to book a call with me because I like to learn more about them. And he did. And he's like, stop talking. He's like, I know I need you in my life. I know that I need to hire someone to help me out. He's like, I just don't trust myself to do it. So it all
Mm,
comes down to being honest with yourself first, right? If you know that you are at, and it's an exciting / scary moment where you're like, oh my God, I know that I'm ready, but I'm scared. I don't know what steps to take, or, you know, who to get involved. This is where you would reach out to someone who has that experience, right? Let me break down those barriers. You don't have to struggle on your own. And so, you know, book some time with someone that you know and trust, who has been through what you have been through, and who can walk you through that and be alongside of you every step of the way. So that gentleman, I hired a project manager for him. I hired a mini version of him. We grew his team. So he went from being a solopreneur to a team of 4. So I helped him with the whole hiring, the training, the process mapping, and I would actually group coach them as well, and individually coach them, so that they were all feeling supported on their journey. And I would, you know, break down the communication barriers. And so, yeah, you got to just be honest with yourself.
Oh, I love that. So then that leads me to just ask the question so you can clarify for people. So that scenario sounds like somebody that was already established and was ready to level up. So you have almost 2 groups of clients then, those that are on the precipice either of leaving corporate or getting into trying something new for themselves, or well-established businesses that are ready to take it to the next step and need that assistance because they don't know what that looks like. So that's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I love working with startups and experienced who are wanting to grow. So I started out with startups, and when I got that first client, that was scary for me, because that was me leveling up. So for anybody who's looking to start something new or take their side hustle to the next level, and you're overthinking it, you might want to join me on December 12th, because that's what tends to happen. We overthink. We have all these what if scenarios, and 99% of them don't come true, Heather. Because they're all in our head. But then once you actually start taking some action, like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, that was easier than I thought. I'm like, yeah. So all you need to do is, some people just need that gentle nudge, and that support, right?
I think it could be somebody, and like this is what happens. So we're like bumping up on our time, and you say something and it gets me going because I get riled up, because it's not riled up in a bad way, but excited because I see some things in myself in the guests that I have. And so what I heard from that, or what I interpreted that for myself, is this fear of success, but also fear of failure, right? Like I think people sometimes think there's just one, like you're either fear of success or you're fear of failure. I think there's a bit of both in some cases, right? Because you don't know what everybody's definition of success is obviously different, and right? So I think that's an interesting one of like where you land. And so this free masterclass, I'm asking for my own purposes because I have something on that day. Is it an hour long, the masterclass, and are you recording it for people that maybe can't join live?
Yes, so it is an hour long, and typically I don't record them. I do replays, so because I love interacting with my audience, Heather. So and pulling people in and sharing their experiences as well. So I don't typically record, because I get more jazzed up when I have live audience.
Yep, that's fair. Very fair. And it entices people to make the time too. I think that's an interesting thing about master classes as well, when you can get the recordings, is people have great intentions. And I liken it to events. And I think we talked about this in our interview that I did with you, is that we have these great intentions when we sign up for things, but then when the day comes, we're maybe not feeling it. But my view on it is there's a reason why you signed up for it in the first place. And so to show up, and oftentimes, and I'm speaking for myself here, I asked for the recording, and I actually don't take that time either to go back and listen. So then on your part, like, what's the point of doing it if you're not if you're not nobody's. So anyways, it's just an interesting, it's all perspective, right?
Yeah.
Some people do it, some people don't. So I honor, that's kind of why I asked, because I think a lot of people are rethinking about the way they do master classes, because it subtly really, if you're not recording it, subtly really encourages people to show up live, right?
Yep, absolutely. If it's that important to you, you will be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Yeah.
So on that note, Tina, I will welcome you again to share where people can find you, where you most prefer on the socials, where people can find you, and then your website, which will tell people more about you, the other things that you do, and get to know you a little bit better, perhaps before booking a call or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. So feel free to visit my website, seeyourselfgrow.com. So it's SEEYOURSELFGROW.com. And then you can find me on all the social media platforms. Primarily, I'm on Facebook. My personal page is Tina Collura. My business page is See Yourself Grow. And then Instagram, it's See Yourself Grow with Tina. And same with LinkedIn, See Yourself Grow with Tina.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I feel so honored to get to meet people like you. I actually, even this conversation, don't remember, because I oftentimes share how it was Jennifer Lyle, I think, is how we met. Was her masterclass she did? Is that how we met?
No, I think it was FemCity.
Oh,
I think it was FemCity. Yeah.
Because I'm doing my own networking these days, that I sometimes forget where our people come in, and that is the whole point of these. As you're networking, as I'm networking, please, if you're interested in being a guest and showcasing yourself on What's Your Dish Conversations, please reach out to me, because I would be honored to have you as a guest, like I did with Tina today. And again, the conversations are intended for you to share about the things that light you up, and then we have these great conversations like I just had with Tina. So if you're interested in having one of these conversations, reach out to me at Heather@DiSH Events, DISH events.ca, and just subject, I want to have a conversation or something like that. And we'll get that going. I'm booking into 2025 now. So with that, Tina, I will say thank you so much for your time and your energy and your amazing gifts that you gave to me and our audience today. And I wish you an abundance of continued success. And I'm going to do my best to join you on the 12th, because I think I could learn a few things from you. And I'll encourage anybody that's watching to join me as well on December 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And again, thank you so very much. Have an awesome rest of your day and weekend, Tina, and everybody that is watching. And I would say that's it for now.